So there are a number of holidays that have converged this week between May 1st and today. Some serious, some sacred, and some others just fun. There are probably other holidays of faith traditions and cultures around the world that fell during these days that we're unaware of. And I really appreciate the fact that Jorge and Paula chose music today that help us celebrate Beltane and Cinco de Mayo. As people who draw wisdom from many sources, it's a gift to be able to learn from the wide range of humanity's meaningful celebrations. Learning about celebrations is often an important way to unravel the ways that we sometimes inappropriately appropriate traditions from other cultures without really understanding the meaning or cultural and spiritual heritage of the holiday. So today, as we take a few moments to honor some of the special days during this year, we begin with a fun holiday. I know that many of you honored Star Wars Day yesterday because my Facebook page had many posts beginning early in the morning with Mandy's post about Star Wars Day. Of course, "May the 4th be with you" is the catchphrase for Star Wars Day. And as legend has it, and according to the origin story recognized by Lucasfilm, the phrase was first used on May the 4th, 1979, the day Margaret Thatcher took office as the UK Prime Minister. And of course, many of us learned important life and ethical lessons as we absorbed the stories of good and evil in the Star Wars movies. And many of us grieved this week when Stephen Mayhew died. We are grateful for the lessons we learned and shared enjoyment. The celebration of May 1st that many people around the world celebrate is the Celtic festival of Beltane, known by many as May Day. Growing up in Mississippi, children danced around the maypole exuberantly, clueless of this ancient fertility rite that has long been a part of the celebration of Beltane. With roots in the British Isles, Beltane is a celebration honored by pagans and Wiccans, and it falls midway between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. It honors spring at its peak and the coming summer with fires and rituals and celebration. What is particularly interesting this week to remember is a contemporary celebration on the 1st of May, and that's International Workers' Day, a day that celebrates laborers and the working class. Though the day has origins in mid to late 19th century labor movements for an 8-hour workday, it's also come to commemorate the Haymarket riots in Chicago, which followed the murders of picketing workers by police on May 3rd, 1886. 7 policemen and 4 workers died in the riots the following day. 8 anarchists were later tried and 4 hanged for their alleged involvement in the use of a bomb during the riots, but there was little to no evidence connecting them to any of the crimes. So many countries still celebrate Labor Day on May 1st. Of course, the struggle for the rights of American workers continue to be seen on this May Day, when about 10,000 public educators in South Carolina marched in the state capitol, demanding smaller class sizes, higher pay, and reduced standardized testing. our work for workers' rights continues. Today, certainly we acknowledge another holiday connected to the welfare of people, which is Cinco de Mayo. And while in the United States, Cinco de Mayo has become a cause for unabashed drinking, the holiday actually honors the Mexican Army's victory on their own soil over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862. Since 1863, this holiday has celebrated the rich heritage of Mexican culture and holds significance in Mexican history. Each of these celebrations invites us to consider the identity and meaning expressed by nations, cultures, and believers within the human family. And while some celebrations, such as Star Wars Day, honor the pleasure of exploring the human capacity for creativity, Beltane connects us to our primal connection to the earth and all her relations. The rituals and celebrations, which are part of our personal belief systems, are not individual. I mean, they are individual, but they're really part of a broad circle of beliefs that contain aspects of the breadth and depth of creation. And as I mentioned, today Ramadan begins for Muslims. During the month of Ramadan, 1.5 billion Muslims will fast, refraining from eating, drinking, and other restrictions from dawn until sunset. Ramadan takes place during the 9th month of the Islamic lunar year. Like other holidays based on lunar calendars, such as the date of Easter and celebrations in the Jewish calendar, this means that the dates of Ramadan change every year. Last year, it was celebrated during literally the longest days of the year, and it's a little better this year as it's moved into May. But we find that over a 30-year period, the Ramadan fast moves through each season, from the periods when the days are longest to periods when the days are shortest. And there are exceptions for those who shouldn't fast: pregnant women and nursing mothers, the infirm, and those who are traveling. I've learned from several Muslim friends that while this kind of fasting for a month can be challenging, knowing one is participating with one's family and local community as well as with Muslims around the world, that's a powerful support during this practice. And the timing of Ramadan commemorates the first revelation of the Quran to Muhammad. This annual observance is regarded as one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Those who are not Muslim usually think only of the hardship of giving up food and drink for a month. But for Muslims, Ramadan is considered a time to train themselves both physically and spiritually by avoiding any negative acts such as gossiping, lying, or arguing. Muslims welcome Ramadan as an opportunity for self-reflection and spiritual improvement. This period of spiritual commitment is in many ways similar to the Christian practice during Lent of giving up chocolate or, whatever people choose to give up. The ultimate goal of fasting in whatever faith tradition is gaining greater and constant awareness of the sacred, of God, however you name that which is greater than you are. And from this awareness, it's possible for a person to gain discipline, self-restraint, and a greater incentive to do good and avoid wrong. That was the whole meaning behind the story, that we need to learn to be compassionate and caring for those who are not wealthy, who may not have food to eat. The trial of fasting each day helps people become sensitive to those millions of people who fast every day because they don't have a choice. They're the impoverished of the world. It's a time when we share some of the suffering of others, and a time that reminds us to be generous to others who need help. So in commemoration of the revelation of the Quran, which began during the month of Ramadan, Muslims attempt to read the entire Quran during Ramadan and gather nightly to hold special prayers during which the Quran is recited, the whole Quran, by the end of the month. At the end of Ramadan, Muslims celebrate a major holiday called Eid al-Fitr, or the Festival of the Breaking of the Fast. And this year it will be on June the 4th. A special prayer and sermon is held on that day, followed by a huge community celebration, which in many cities is spread out in a park or a large hall. Children like that holiday because they get special food, games, and presents. One of the things that I find about Ramadan that I find quite profound is that the ritual of the breaking of the Ramadan fast is done with drinking water and eating dates. Now, what makes it remarkable goes against what many Christians believe about Muslims, that they don't respect or honor Jesus. But the reality is that the symbolic act of eating the date and drinking the water is in remembrance of the food that Mary, the mother of Jesus, ate right after Jesus was born. In fact, in the story of the birth of Jesus in the Quran, Mary gives birth to Jesus under a date palm, not in a stable. The dates on the palm when he was born fell from the tree so that she would have nourishment. And a spring came out of the ground so that she would have water. It's really a very mystical story. So we need to remember that Muslims greatly revere Jesus and Mary. The breaking of the Ramadan fast is a time when families and whole communities gather. It reminds each person fasting that they are not alone, but can gather strength from their community. The spiritual lessons of Ramadan may be found in many religions. Our faiths encourage us to focus on gaining inner and outer wisdom, developing a relationship with ourselves, with others, and the sacred. It calls us to deeper inner and outer wisdom, developing our relationships. And Muslims, as with people from other faiths, hold fasting as a means not only of abandoning food, but also abandoning one's ego, so that we might become closer to who we're truly meant to be. Because Ramadan is a sacred time to find inner clarity, I thought it might be appropriate to include a spiritual practice, which we've shared before, but it's been a while. It comes from the universal Sufi tradition and also is found in traditional spiritual practice. and it comes from the mystical practices of Sufism. Mystics of all ages and faith have shared practices that help one connect with the source of life. This practice is beyond understanding the spiritual concepts of the sacred that personify God or the sacred reality. This understanding of unity with the sacred is at the same time beyond comprehension and is as close to us as our breath and the beating of our hearts. Sufis say that the reason that the whole of creation came into being is that the perfect being wished to know himself and to be known. And thereby, creation came into existence, and the awakening of love in his nature came into being. Love that flows through all people and all creation. So the creation of the universe was the object of love, which is beauty. Dervishes, with the chant that we will share, salute each other by saying Ishq Allah Mabud Allah, or Ishq Allah Mabud Lillah. God is love, lover, and beloved. So there is nothing that exists outside this love. Ishq means unconditional love. Mabud means beloved. Lillah is often a phrase of gratitude, and when the chant ends with Allah, the name of God in Arabic, which is also used by Christians in Arabic-speaking countries, it's praise to God. So the deeper meaning of this chant is that God is indeed love, lover, and beloved. There is nothing outside of this love. There is nothing that we can do that is outside this love. There is nothing that happens in the world, as worried as we are each day about the state of loved ones and the state of our world. There's nothing outside this love. So when we chant these words, we are affirming that everything, creation, you, me, those we love, those we dislike, are all within this sacred unity. So I invite us to share a time of meditation by chanting a phrase to help us remember that we are beloved. That every person, every creature, every aspect of creation is beloved. We are all connected. So I invite you to sit comfortably. You can close your eyes or keep your eyes open. Some people like to move, almost like davening during the chant. So join in as you feel comfortable. The phrase is printed in your bulletin, and it begins, Ishq Allah Mabud Lillah. 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 Ishq Allah Mabud Ish Allah Mahu Leila. 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 Ish. Holding that practice and sharing it daily, doing it by yourself or in a meditative state, can help us begin to feel a deeper connection with ourselves and with other people. There are also breathing practices and mantras that might be special to us from other faith traditions. But it's important that we begin to find ways, both in spiritual practice and action in our community, that we connect with those of different beliefs and of different faiths. May we, in seeking to understand the deeper messages of celebrations and holidays from other cultures and religions, find a broader understanding of our own potential and the spiritual doorways that we might open as we come to understand our unity in the midst of our diversity as a human family. Come from the Sufi mystic Sadi, and it's really a call to us. To worship God is none other than to serve the people. It doesn't need rosaries, prayer carpets, or robes. All peoples are members of the same body, created from the same essence. If fate brings suffering to one member, the others cannot stay at rest. May we be those who do not stay at rest, but build a more peaceful and just world. Blessed be.
You need to get who?
The purple sheets.
Oh, okay. We've got a couple over here too.
Hello. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. That's why there's Cinco de Mayo. They made a Mexican celebration for my birthday. In fact, that's what I treated it as for many years. Yep, here's one more.
So, what year were you born?
45.
45, so...
VJ Day, I think it was. 45, or it was some celebration in Japan anyway. Whatever they did.
was August 6th.
Was it really? Oh, okay. Maybe that's when my
I was going to ask you about but it was a good day in Minneapolis.
well, I've always taken
Let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. There's a doubling school.